And welcome to the show. Hope everybody's having a wonderful night. Remember to like and subscribe if you like what you hear tonight. All right, let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump. So, basically, what we have to remember, you might not agree with everything with Trump. That's fine. You might hate him, you might not like him. Hands down, I don't care. Whatever. He might be the greatest, the worst, whatever. But it's the idea. It's the idea of Trump. Putting America first, putting your country first that you live in. No matter if you like it or not, whatever, you have to respect the place that you live. And Trump has gone off the rails. He's gone off the rails, hands down, gone off the rails. Maybe made the biggest mistake in U.S. history, but the idea. And that is why we cannot allow the Democrats to win the midterms, because we cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have to protect the idea that he represents. You might be pissed off at him. You might hate him right now. Who cares? He's he is a Donald Duck lame duck president right now. His friends were PDFs, and he protected his friends. He started a global war. This is basically a global war. The fallout of this is basically going to be horrendous, and we are going to see it for many years. It's going to be basically, we're going to see what happens to Europe and so on and so forth. But we have to protect the idea of Trump. You have to put your country first and then work your way out. And it's pretty crazy how we found out the past couple days that supposedly, allegedly, the Democratic Party worked with an NGO, SPLF, or whatever the hell it is, to conspire, and basically they've been funding neo Nazis and all those crazy KKK members with feds and everything else. So, and you have to think about it. It's like allegedly, like Joe Biden basically ran because supposedly he said because he saw those people marching. He saw those people marching, and that is what has basically spurred this entire anti-racism, anti-fascism movement, because everybody saw those people marching. But little did they know they are being funded supposedly by the Democratic Party to basically stem hatred towards the right. Unite the Right is basically supposedly a Democratic op. But that is why we have to protect the ideas of putting our country first, protecting our friends and family. Doesn't matter race, color, whatever. Protect your friends and family. Put your country first. Build your country up. Because because look what China is doing. China's doing that. China is putting China first. I don't think China has ever left its borders for war. But also, China basically doesn't put capital in front of the country. Nobody gets bigger than the government. You can be a billionaire, but the second you step up a line, you just vanish. But the problem is with the US, we have the Epstein class, the British banking cartel, that has kept this country in line basically since the Federal Reserve Act. Basically, right when the Federal Reserve Act, right in that sweet spot, we have been the war party country. We have been the blackmail Epstein class ran government. And, blackmail is one of the oldest games in the book. But we also have to protect our values. We have to protect our values. Whatever your values are, you have the right to protect them. You you have the right to do whatever you want here. And in order to continue to do that, you have to protect that. You can yell and scream at the government, but in other countries, you don't have the right to do that. But that's why you have to protect the values of where you live. That's my opinion. that, and we're going to see some crazy stuff here because when oil continues to climb, we're going to see some crazy stuff. We've already seen Lufthansa cancel 20,000 flights. They're talking about in Great Britain how they're going to have to regulate cell phone service because of the outages, because of the lack of energy. And so, in my opinion, I think it's going to make countries more independent, more split from globalism. I think that's the major fallout from that, and that's why the values of putting your country first are so important, because it everything starts from within. You can't help somebody else unless you can you, you can't be able to help somebody else unless you can help yourself. If you can't help yourself, you have no right intervening in someone else's business. That's why it's like you're not gonna go to a you're not gonna walk up to a homeless person and ask for financial advice. Not gonna do it. And that's why you don't talk to single people about your relationship, because they're single for a reason. They're single by choice, or they're a broken person in themselves. And you want to try not to take advice from a broken person and from a broken country, which we are basically right now, because we basically put our foot in our mouths with this war. And it's it is making us very energy dominant. But what people need to realize is that we don't really manufacture anything here. We require outside countries to make stuff. And the second world and the third world is going to suffer the most. Yeah, we have so much oil here. There are 140 ships lining up. Yes, but that's only going to last for so long. That's going to only last for so long before the factories in those countries that we depend on, such as our cell phones, such as our King Kongs, our Toads, our Godzillas, they make all this fun stuff. And we rely on those countries to make those fun stuff. We rely on those countries to make packaging for our food, fertilizer. Yeah, it's like what are you gonna do? Is like walk up to like a restaurant? Yeah, I'm out of packaging. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna take it in my hand, or I'm gonna take it in my hat. Yeah, this is my new doggy bag. Yeah, bullcrap, you're not. And if they don't have packaging, you can't take it home. Who's gonna make the forks? Who's gonna make the spoons? And the helium shortage, so on and so forth. And that is why we. And I'm going to circle back. You might not like what Trump is, but the idea of putting your country first, the idea of putting your civilization first, and for all those communists and all those crazy asshats uh, uh, out there, the only reason why you're able to say that is because you have the First Amendment. So you're basically crapping in your hand and wiping it on your face. That's all you're doing. It it may sound like a great idea from your perspective, but the only reason why you're able to say that is because you have the First Amendment. That's the only reason. Other than that, you try saying that in China, they'll swoop you up. They don't care. Try saying that in Russia or whatever. You try running your mouth in Europe right now, they'll throw you in jail. It's and it's what we take for granted. And Trump's friends, they aren't. They are going to burn the world down. But the next president's friends are probably the same friends that Trump had. That's why we have to get through this Cold War crazy generation of the Ruskies are bad. We got to get through that generation. And, and start thinking for ourselves, not for the collective. Because the collective always wants someone to tell them what to do. Individualism is the greatest punch in the face to globalism. Because an individual can think for themselves, a collective just follows King Kong off the cliff. I'm King Kong. Oh, King Kong, let's fall off. Because humans love to be groupies. Humans love to be groupies. Hell, I love to be a groupie every once in a while. You know, my favorite baseball team. But when I go to the stadium, the ticket says, when the game's over, you're trespassing. You're not on the team. You're just a groupie. You're just a poser. SLC Punk. Go watch that. It's a pretty good movie. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Like and subscribe to the video. I don't want to make it too long. I don't want to bore you with my antics. But yes, we have to protect the values. And Trump was a good lifting off point in protecting our values as a country, as basically building up and trying to make things better. But at the same time, if you try too hard, you also destroy everything. But we shall see. All right, like and subscribe. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.